It's official. One of the so-called key witnesses in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial has just detonated a legal bombshell, publicly rejecting his own statement and in doing so, hurling Brigadier Bongani Gininda directly under the bus. Yes, you heard that correctly. Absolome Zungu, the man whose alleged testimony helped build the core of the state's narrative against accused 1 and 2, has now come out swinging, saying he never gave any statement, and if he did, he didn't write or sign it knowingly. This latest twist could cripple the prosecution, unravel months of courtroom theater, and raise serious questions about whether some SAPS investigators, including Gininda himself, fabricated or manipulated evidence. So buckle up, because in this episode of the Hot Seat Essay, we break it all down. What Zungu said, what it means for the case, and why this could shift the scales of justice in a way no one saw coming. Let's start with the basics. Absolome Zungu was introduced to the public as a crucial link in the chain of arrests that followed Senzo Meyiwa's murder. His name came up in statements said to implicate 2 of the 5 accused, Muzi Sibiya and Bongani Gininda. Zungu was painted as an eyewitness to confession-like conversations, or at the very least, someone who knew something from inside the community or prison system. For the state, he was golden, the kind of witness you build a case around. But now that so-called golden boy says he never agreed to any of it. In a jaw-dropping move, Zungu told Sunday World, and I quote, "I never submitted any sworn statement in this matter. I was shocked when I heard that my name was mentioned as one of the witnesses." He goes further to say he never appeared before a commissioner of oaths, never signed anything voluntarily, and was not aware that he had supposedly given any information that would lead to the arrests of Gininda or Sibiya. Now, if this is true, and that's a big if, it suggests that someone within law enforcement submitted a statement under his name without his consent, and the only name consistently tied to that process, Brigadier Bongani Gininda.
Let's talk about the man at the center of it all. Brigadier Gininda has been one of the lead investigators and the face of the police's case since the beginning. He authored the disputed affidavit. He testified as both detective and de facto strategist for the prosecution. He has been adamant the accused were arrested based on direct links, confessions, and credible witness testimony. But now, one of those very witnesses says, "I never said that." Not only does it contradict Gininda, it potentially exposes him to accusations of manufacturing evidence, perjury, and obstruction of justice. And we've already seen that Gininda has been under pressure, whether it's the cross-examinations by Advocate Manisi or the scandal around the inspection in Loco, where he showed up fully armed and masked like he was going to war. This new revelation casts a long shadow over his entire role in the case. Now let's zoom out. What does this mean legally? The defense, especially for accused 1 and 2, will likely file motions to strike out any reference to Zungu's alleged statement. There could be calls for an official investigation into Gininda's conduct. Worse still, the entire trial could be delayed or even risk collapse if it's found that other statements were obtained under questionable circumstances. Remember, the state's case is already shaky, built on alleged confessions, some questionable witness lineups, and a whole lot of speculation. Remove just one pillar, and the whole thing could fall apart.
So, where does this go next? What happens when the foundations of a national murder trial begin to crumble from the inside? Let's start with the immediate legal implications. With Absolome Zungu now publicly distancing himself from a key statement attributed to him, the defense has powerful ammunition. You can expect them to file urgent motions, likely demanding that his alleged statement be struck from the record. In fact, they may go further and question the legitimacy of every other statement obtained by Brigadier Gininda and his unit. And here's why that matters. If one statement is proven to be falsified, coerced, or even created without proper consent, all others come under suspicion. That's the domino effect. And it's not just Gininda's credibility on the line. It's the credibility of the entire SAPS investigation into the Meyiwa case. Now, that's just the beginning. We could also see a formal request for an independent inquiry into how this case was handled from day one. Calls from civil society and legal watchdogs for the removal or suspension of Brigadier Gininda pending investigation. And if the court finds that there was a deliberate attempt to mislead the judiciary, we may be staring at criminal charges for misconduct in public office. But what's truly terrifying here, and I say this with full weight, is the idea that this may not be an isolated case. If what Zungu is claiming is true, how many other so-called confessions or witness statements in high-profile cases were obtained in the same way? How deep does the rot go? This isn't just a courtroom twist anymore. It's a full-blown credibility crisis for South African law enforcement. And if justice cannot be trusted at the top, where does that leave the ordinary South African citizen? These next few days and weeks are critical. The court will need to decide whether Zungu's recantation is credible, and whether the trial can continue in good faith, or if the entire structure is too tainted to carry on. One thing is clear. This case is no longer just about who killed Senzo Meyiwa. It's about who manipulated the investigation and why.
And so, as the curtain lifts on yet another shocking revelation in this case, we ask the question that seems to grow heavier with each passing court session. Who's really on trial here? Is it the 5 men in the dock, or is it the justice system itself? Because when a key witness says, "I never said that," and the person who claimed he did is an officer of the law, a brigadier no less, then the spotlight shifts, the scrutiny intensifies, and suddenly the narrative begins to shift from justice for Senzo to cover-up for someone else. Let's not forget, this case has dragged on for nearly a decade. Families have been torn apart, careers have been built, and reputations destroyed, all in the name of finding the truth. And yet, the deeper we dig, the more truth seems to be buried. This trial was meant to bring closure to a nation, but now it risks becoming a symbol of everything broken in our legal system. From investigation to prosecution to the conduct of state officials like Brigadier Gininda. So we say again, this is no longer just about Senzo. It's about how easy it is to manufacture guilt, to silence dissent, and to sacrifice justice on the altar of public perception. And that's exactly why the Hot Seat essay exists. To pull back the curtain, to challenge the spin, and to ask the questions they wish you wouldn't. So if you believe in real journalism, in uncomfortable truths, and in holding power to account, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share this video. Because this story, it's just getting started. This has been the Hot Seat essay, and we will keep the pressure on until justice speaks for itself.
Welcome to the fire where the stakes ignite, where the questions burn hotter than the night. No escape once you're locked in the heat. This is your trial on the hot seat. To the fire where the stakes ignite, where the questions burn hotter than the night.